Sri Lankan soldiers were killed in an ambush by Tamil Tiger rebels in the north that set off anti-Tamil riots all across the country in which hundreds were killed. And that triggered the Tamil rebel movements. Various groups were fighting for a separate homeland for the Tamils. And the war continued for until 2009. At one point, the Tamil Tiger rebels, the LTTE, they were holding a very sizable territory in the north and the east. I've been to those tiger-controlled, rebel-controlled territory between those years. And in fact, they had more or less areas under their control with their own administration. But then Sri Lankan army launched a massive operation around 2006 that ended with the total defeat of the Tamil Tiger rebels. Now, during this period, what happened? Thousands of civilians were killed. Even Tamil Tigers carried out suicide bombings in the south. Even Sinhalese also died. And the war ended with the total defeat of the Tamil Tiger rebels. And the Tamils feel, even though war got over, peace has not risen. Peace has not come back because the government never attempted to reach out to the Tamil community.
Now that's interesting. Ambarasan, do stay with us because we will come back to you. My colleague Ridi Tlabi has been speaking to Anne and her son Jonathan, not their real names, about that traumatic part of their country's history, that part that Ambarasan has been explaining to us just now. Firstly, Annie remembers the day in which civil war broke out.
We were children and my mother was a single parent, my father had passed away at that time, so it was very difficult for us. I was working as a I was doing a part-time job and I was studying as well, so I had to get out of the house in the morning and I was on my way to work, and on that particular day I was in the bus. I didn't know what was happening in the morning. I didn't know anything that there was a problem like this. So when I was traveling, I saw people burning shops, cars, and even they were getting into the bus and dragging the people out of the bus, whoever that they held there, whomever the Tamil people. And luckily, I didn't look at Tamil because I were dressed modestly, so nobody could see, and I'm a Christian, so I don't have this Tamil people what they put on their forehead and all as Hindus. So because of that, I was a bit safe and I could speak the language the Sinhala. So they didn't notice me as a Tamil, so I was a bit safe there. But they were taking out the people from the bus, the Tamil people, and they got them down. So I don't know what happened to them after that, but I saw some shops getting burned and vehicles getting burned. So that was a very sad situation because I couldn't help anybody or I couldn't speak a word because I had to be, I was thinking of myself at that time, how am I going to get back home? But anyway, I was unable to get back home that day, particular day. I had to stay with one of my aunts that day in Colombo, and I gave a call to my mother that I won't be coming home. So then after 2 days, when I was going back home, when I got off from the bus and then I was heading towards the road where we were living, so that place, one of the neighbors whom I knew, he saw me. So we have planned to take them to a camp. You also go to the same camp. I will go and put you there, and he went and dropped me there. When I went there, my mother and my siblings were not there, so I got really scared and I started crying. It was very difficult because I didn't know whether they will come or not because what I saw on the road, and then they were missing. It was a bit difficult for me. Then, but late in the afternoon, they came. So those same people, because not all the people were bad. Because some were just interested in looting and taking things out of the people and that kind of thing. Some people...
But before the war started, before that day, I mean, you mentioned that some people were helping the Tamil citizens. How would you describe the relationship between the Sinhalese people and...
No, we had no problem because the problem was mainly, I think this was political reasons maybe, because Tamils were counted as second-class citizens in Sri Lanka. So this kind of problems only made this problem to happen, which I see. Because of that, we started. because they want equal rights, whereas there weren't any equal rights here in Sri Lanka, because as what we believe in, if you're a Sri Lankan, all Sri Lankans should be treated equally. But here it was not that, because first preference is given to the Sinhalese and the second preference is given to the Tamils. So it was like that. So yeah, people knew who were the Tamil people, and I don't know how they came to know which house to hit and which house not to hit or something, but they have come like that. Not the area neighbors or anything. Neighbors were protecting us.
So your home was burnt down, and
Curfew. So because of that, the next day only they were brought to the camps. That camps were schools. So they turned the schools as camps, and they were keeping people there for some time.
how long were you in the camp?
8 months.
And let me bring you in here, Jonathan.
Yeah.
You're hearing your mother talking about a very difficult time, so much loss during the war. Are you familiar with these stories? Are these chapters of Sri Lankan life and your family's life that are important to you? How do you feel hearing it all?
I have heard some of the stories. I understand how difficult it was for my mom. I had never had to experience such hardship in my life. It's a testament to my family and my mom that any checkpoint, my name, basically the police just let you go. There's no checks. They don't even talk to you. They just look at your ID card and you're sent out. So
Are you saying, I mean, your mom is Tamil, right? So your father is half Sinhalese, so you are also,
Yeah.
and you've got the Sinhalese surname. Are you saying that that's what offers privilege in Sri
Yeah,
Lanka? I mean, do
in-
those
in-
identities matter now?
it doesn't matter that much to the upper class or the educated in a sense, like second generation, third generation educated people, or people who have lived mainly in Colombo. But in a sense, it offers you a privilege amongst the older generation, or the people who are from the villages, or who are from the country, or who have like these traditional values, who value being Sinhalese, who take pride in being Sinhalese, who still think that the country is like this is because in Sri Lanka there is a significant portion of people who still think in a sense that it is a Sinhalese Buddhist country. Like a caricature of an American would be like a redneck with a truck hat and a big truck and a gun in one hand and a Bible in the other.
Those
Like that.
stereotypes, isn't it?
Yeah, the stereotype. So they would think of here like the real Sinhalese person would be like a Buddhist Sinhalese pure-blooded person from like the village who owns like a huge portion of land, who came from like what they would say like a good family background, but because of the tie to that family background, like purely been with Sinhalese people who don't have like the mixing of ideas and of different cultures. Like that sort of thing is still there, because now we live in Colombo. So in Colombo, like you interact with so many different types of people from different backgrounds. That's part of life. But then if you go towards the village areas, there are areas where you won't even see a Tamil person in your area, or a Muslim person, or something like that. You're completely isolated.
So, as young people right now, when you see the remnants of the past, history still affecting your lives right now, the burden of history, the burden of war, the burden of ethnic tension, what do you hope for? How do you think the country should reinvent itself?
It's very hard for a country like Sri Lanka to reinvent itself, because in order to reinvent yourself, there are so many. For a place like Australia or the UK or America, it's built on this sort of melting pot, like that all are welcome.